Finally, in December of 1810, the men got together and created a last-minute plan that would replicate many other cities.
That goes to show that procrastination really supersedes any generation. Whoa! Whoa! That was a sentence! Woo! That was a sentence and a half!
All right, chat, let's go meet for meat in chat, bro.
Hey, boy, whoa, why are you talking to me like that? Welcome back to the channel, man. Today, we got a video by uncovering, bro, a little different, a little something different, okay? We got why New York has the perfect design. Well, almost. Okay, let's get into it.
Manhattan, from the outsider's perspective, seems like the perfect design. There's numbered streets, 214 of them, lettered avenues that range from A to D, and numbered avenues 1 through 12. There's parks in many of the neighborhoods to allow residents to feel a sense of nature, bridges and tunnels to get in and out of Manhattan, and an extensive public transport system that allows residents to travel throughout the island without ever needing a car. But then there's a southern end of Manhattan that doesn't follow the same grid pattern. The streets down here aren't numbered or lettered, and they all have completely unrelated names. The streets here also aren't perfectly perpendicular to each other.
What does it take to just change the names of the streets? Like, I'm not understanding. Like, isn't it just as simple as putting in a call like, hey, you know Broadway Street, could we make that 4th Street? You get what I'm saying? Is it not that simple?
They are in the rest of Manhattan. There's Canal Street, zigzagging across from east to west, Church Street, cutting corners heading north, and the further south you go, the less straight lines
Church Street is kind of calm.
It may seem like chaos and extremely difficult to navigate.
Oh,
but
that
you
does
may
look
be surprised
awful.
to hear that many New York residents would actually prefer a design that looks like this, as opposed to the more perfectly laid out grid design to the north. In theory, this grid design would work perfectly, except there's one major problem.
Traffic?
Design would work perfectly.
What is it?
Except there's
Traffic?
one major problem.
Traffic, gotta be traffic.
The reason for this blaring difference in New York City's layout takes us back to when the Dutch originally bought this land that we now know as Manhattan. The Dutch purchased this land from the Algonquian Indians for the equivalent of—
I promise you, in my life, I've never heard of Algonquian Indians. I need somebody right now in chat to put it in the comment section if you knew about them before this video. That is the first time I've ever heard that name in my life, bro. Holy, that's crazy. Shout out to them.
$24.
Wow.
After this purchase, the Dutch first began settling at the southernmost end of the island. Manhattan was named New Amsterdam at the time, so the Dutch attempted to make this place look like the
Manhattan is New Amsterdam?
mainly by building canals. There were 2 main canals that ran down what is now present-day Canal Street and also Broad Street. There was no real order to forming these canals and paving the roads, as residents were claiming land for themselves as they moved to the island.
This block
was essentially
is mine.
a free-for-all. When the English took over New Amsterdam in 1664, they began populating the area much faster than the Dutch were, and this led to new homes and roads being built north. This also led to the construction of Broadway, which ran to the very top of the island, connecting the farmland to the north with the bustling village on the southern end. New York's southern end was becoming so densely populated in the late 1700s that disease outbreaks were becoming very common in this region.
Dang, they had 2-story buildings back then. I don't know why I thought that was impossible for them to complete, but like anything in like the 1700s, I imagine like just wasn't sustainable or like okay to like be more than like 4 foot off the ground.
The residents out more and prepare for the massive number of immigrants that were moving to New York.
Y'all are gonna find out how much I don't know about history. That's why we're watching this together, so that we're both informed.
The government knew they needed to expand the city to the north. Much of this land to the north was still farmland with very few residents, so there was certainly room to expand. The government then decided—
How much niggas you think they had working those fields, bro? I don't know. Like, that's a lot of land in New York, bro. Bro, I'm not gonna lie, that's a lot of land, bro. I'm not gonna cap. I'm gonna say about 10,000 per square mile.
Decided to appoint 3 men to work on a new design for the rest of—
I thought they were gonna say 3 men to work on the farmland, and I was like, oh my gosh, I called it. No, I'm sorry. My head's in the wrong place. Head's in the wrong place.
Commissioner's plan of 1811. The city was already pretty set in stone south of Houston Street, with the exception of the West Village.
Houston?
These 3 men were in charge of planning out what
That's
the city
Houston.
would look like going
What
north.
are we doing?
These 3 men included Governor Morris, who wrote the preamble to the Constitution, John Rutherford, who was a famous land surveyor, Engineer, and Simone DeWitt, who was a New York land surveyor and general for the Continental Army during
My
the
last name
American
can't be
Revolution.
DeWitt, bro.
These men had from 1807 to 1811 to construct this plan, which seemed like plenty of time to come up with a perfect layout. This may have been too much time, however, as the men surprisingly never spoke about any kind of plan for 3 years and 11 months. Finally, in December of 1810, the men got together and created a last-minute plan that would replicate many other cities.
That goes to show that procrastination really supersedes any generation. Whoa! Whoa! That was a sentence! Woo! That was a sentence and a half! Procrastination really supersedes any generation? This video making me smarter already. Oh my goodness. Your favorite streamer doesn't have vocabulary like me, bro. I promise they don't. I promise you.
At the time, they were going for a classic grid system, although this one was going to look quite different.
Okay.
There would be 12 numbered avenues running the length of the island, and then 4 lettered avenues for the section of land that stuck out into the East River. The streets were all perpendicular to each other, starting at 1st Street and making its way all the way up to 155th Street.
This had to be so annoying to build.
They didn't think anybody would want to live north of 155th Street, but this obviously turned out to not be the case. The avenues weren't spaced totally equal, where the distance between 3rd and 6th Avenues is 920 feet, while the distance between 6th and 12th Avenue is 800 feet. The distance north and south between these blocks is typically 264 feet. There was never any explanation for this, or for the fact that certain streets are wider than others. The government of New York approved this plan without any questions, and began constructing roads through the farmers' land without their permission. The
America is so
commissioners
lazy,
did
bro.
exclude some land from construction, however. A section of what is now Washington Square Park used to be a cemetery for the Continental Army during the Revolutionary War. There's actually still many bones buried under this park today. The commissioners included this graveyard, as well as the sections known as Tompkins, Stuyvesant, Gramercy, Madison, and Union. All these areas still remain relatively undeveloped today and still resemble parks. As the grid layout was starting to come together, other New York government officials were urging for another larger park closer to the northern end before the city became too built out. They decided on a park stretching from 59th Street to 110th Street and then from 5th Avenue to 8th Avenue. There was nobody living in this region.
Is that Madison Square Garden?
Settlement known as Seneca Village, which had roughly 350 homes in it, composed mainly of African American and Irish immigrants.
Of course, that's where they wanted to take it out of. Oh my gosh, I hate y'all. Holy, bro. Oh. Of course, that's where they put it. Mind you, land worth, I want to say trillions right now. It's not worth trillions. The land's worth billions though now. That specific plot of land, billions now. Billions.
Seneca Village was destroyed, and the foundation was now set for New York. It was just going to take a number of years to populate this new design and see how it played out compared to the southern end that had no real order to it. New York was growing rapidly.
Oh, that was New York? I thought that was Madison Square.
But it wasn't until 1913, when Grand Central was built, that really led to New York's explosive growth. Grand Central Station was built this year.
I want to see Grand Central Station in real life.
Workers from all over the region into Manhattan. New York is also located just off the Atlantic Ocean, which provided as a convenient first stop for immigrants.
Yo, this is great, but one thing they should have solved is the rat problem, the smell problem, the smoke problem, the mug problem, the steel problem. Like, what about the other problems in New York? The roads are great. The transportation is great. Let's talk about everything else, bro. Let's talk about the crackhead that stole $50 out my pocket last time I was there, bro. Let's talk about that. That just still get me tight to this day, bro. Let's talk about that in New York, bro.
Coming over from European countries, hence the formation of Ellis Island. New York's population was skyrocketing throughout the 1900s, and the grid was quickly filling up. Midtown and Manhattan.
The only thing that I hate, and this is why history is not my favorite subject, right? I have a problem with people not liking me without knowing me, right? If you know me and you don't like me, all power to you, bro. But I don't do anything. I literally don't do anything, right? I'm just trying to be the calmest individual on this app, bro. I'm animated because I'm recording. You feel what I'm saying? I'm entertaining. In life, I'm calm, right? This is going to make sense in a second. My problem with history is that when I watch videos like this, right? When I see people on the street like this right here, my problem is that my brain is like, all of these people right here, because it's history, most likely don't like me because I'm black. part of me being mad at that is, yes, obviously racism, but because me as a person, I know I'm a great individual. So people not liking me without knowing me gets me tight. And because of that, I think that's why I don't like actually learning about history. Like, that's why I don't care. But like I said, we're changing a new leaf. We're turning a new chapter this video, okay? We're learning about stuff now.
The grid was quickly filling up. Midtown and Manhattan soon had many skyscrapers popping up, thanks to the firm bedrock that was close to the ground level, making for a more stable base to build on.
Yeah.
Finally, fast forward to today, and New York City is the largest city in the United States, where over 1.6 million people live on just the island of Manhattan alone. The grid system is now filled with people and buildings, and we can now see how this last-minute plan turned out. I'm gonna
say traffic ruins this, right? Traffic has to ruin this.
Grid would work much better if the blocks weren't so large. Because there are no alleyways within the grid, this requires residents to put their trash out on the street before it gets picked up by a garbage disposal company. The spot where you put your trash is the space in between the sidewalk and the street. This often causes the streets to become littered with trash if any of the trash bags fall over, or if a big rain and windstorm comes through while the trash is waiting to be picked up. Most cities have back alleyways with dumpsters and trash cans,
and that's why it's so
to take out their
gross.
trash away from all the people. But in New York, the grid system didn't account for any alleyways. Another reason why Manhattan's blocks being so large is a problem is that this slows down traffic. If you compare Manhattan's block size with Portland, Oregon, Houston, Texas, or Denver, Colorado, you'll see just how big and long Manhattan's block sizes are. To get from point A to point B in the Portland, Houston, or Denver city blocks, you have many more routes to travel. In Manhattan, to get from point A to point B, you don't have as many options, which leads to more traffic congestion. This may not seem like a massive difference, but when you have millions of people traveling along these roads 100%. Every day, the smallest differences in city block size can have a big impact on travel times. Next, these massive block sizes also don't allow for many windows within apartments and office complexes. I felt this one personally, as when I lived in Soho in a 5-bedroom apartment with 4 other roommates, not a single one of us had windows in any of our rooms. The apartments are very long and narrow, where there's only windows at the very front of the apartment that look out onto the street.
That's actually crazy. I couldn't imagine not having
apartments can be very
window,
large,
bro,
but still have very little area that opens up to a city street, allowing for windows.
I've never even thought about that,
to
bro.
Wake up in the morning, but less windows also leads to less airflow.
That's what I was thinking.
Buildings, allowing for diseases to spread more easily. Something that
this dude right here got the sack of doom. Hold on, let's peep the drip. Damn, I'm not gonna lie, bro. His shoes kind of tough. I just don't know which ones it is. Sack of doom, though. They're not even PSDs either.
Spread more easily. Something that this grid system was supposed to fix about the southern half of Manhattan. In the original section of Manhattan, below Houston Street, a combination of the city blocks being generally smaller and having more curved streets allows for more opportunities to build in windows to the apartments and office complexes. This grid
Look at me saying like I know what I'm talking about. I'm saying like I know, like I'm agreeing with him, like I know what he could have said anything right there and I would have said, yeah, my dumb ass. What am I talking about, bro?
If only the city blocks weren't so large, allowing for more windows, alleyways for trash removal, and less traffic congestion. Another New York City plan that didn't work out so perfectly was the construction of New York's Billionaires Row. Many of these apartments are going for tens of millions and even over $100 million.
And they're empty,
there's
probably.
Many dark secrets that the public doesn't know about these buildings. Watch this video to learn about the dark secrets of Billionaires Row.
Hey man, if y'all want to watch this video, just let me know and we could watch it together. I'm kind of interested. That was a good cliffhanger, I'm not gonna lie. That was a fantastic cliffhanger. Hey, W video, I'm not mad at that one. I hope y'all enjoyed it, man. It was something a little different, bro. I hope you guys enjoyed the reaction, man. Hey, we drop 2 videos a day on this channel, weekly animations on the other channel. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe down below, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.